Good evening. President Trump says all options are now on the table after North Korea fired a ballistic missile over Japan last night. Japan's Prime Minister says his country is now facing an unprecedented threat. China has warned that the crisis is now at a tipping point. The missile. Tonight, an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council is getting underway in New York, with America calling for serious action to deal with North Korea's nuclear missile program. The Prime Minister, Theresa May, is on her way to Japan tonight on a planned trip. She condemned the missile firing as reckless provocation. Our diplomatic correspondent James Landale looks at the options left for the international. President Trump has arrived in Texas to meet officials dealing with the devastating flooding in the wake of Tropical Storm Harvey. More than 4 feet of rain has now fallen in Houston, Texas, since the storm swept in on Friday. More than 30,000 people have been forced from their homes by the storm. 2 dams near the city have begun overflowing and a river has burst its banks. It set a new record for rainfall in the state. The dark blue areas on this map showing where the rain has been falling most heavily. And the authorities are warning that water levels will continue to rise. Our correspondent James Cook is in Houston for us now.
Yes, Sophie, I'm standing between those 2 reservoirs.
Emergency workers in Corpus Christi, where the storm first hit on Friday. Donald Trump said he wanted the relief effort to stand as an example of how to respond to a storm. Our North America editor John Sopel reports from Texas. John is in Austin, where President Trump has just been visiting. And John, all eyes on how the president deals with this. How much is riding on it for him? The President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, has told the British government that none of its Brexit position papers is satisfactory and an enormous amount needs to be settled before talks on a trade deal can begin. One of the key issues Brussels wants to agree on first is the status of more than 3.5 million EU nationals who live and work in the UK. Our correspondent Emma Simpson has been talking to them. And finally, she starred as Queen Victoria in the critically acclaimed film Mrs. Brown. Now, 2 decades later, Dame Judi Dench is playing Victoria once again, this time as the ageing monarch in the final years of her life. Victoria and Abdul tells the true story of the close but controversial friendship which grew between the Queen and an Indian clerk who'd been sent to present her with a gift for her Golden Jubilee. Our arts editor Will Gompertz reports. And that is almost it from us. Newsnight is coming up on BBC 2. Here's Emily.